And finishes out the top 10 with the Jets taking Garrett Wilson.
Ryan's a streaky guy. I'm not sure if you noticed this. A really inconsistent guy. You don't know what you're going to get day in and day out from him, even though I'm completely lying when I say that. It makes sense. They need some help at the position. Garrett Wilson's one of the bigger play wide receivers. We did some comps earlier today, and I kind of compared him to Devontae Smith. That's what he reminds me of. More the sleight of frame, but has that big play potential and big play ability. I don't know that he's as good of a route runner as Devontae Smith was when he was coming out. But at the end of the day, you got to figure out what you have in Zach Wilson. And so getting a guy like Garrett Wilson, he can throw the football up to, take the top off of defenses and make big plays would be a huge asset to the Jets offense that has in large part struggled, at least in the first half of last year, and started to pick things up in the second half.
Yeah, Brady made the Devonta Smith comparison. Garrett Wilson himself has compared himself to Deontay Johnson. So if you get some combination of those two guys, that's great news for Zach Wilson. I think Jets fans, I think they would be happy with edge rusher, wide receiver at 4 and 10. I know I had them taking an offensive tackle at 10 in a previous mock draft, and that wasn't a fun day for me on social media. So hopefully this makes them feel better and fills two huge needs for the Jets on both sides of the ball.
Okay, Ryan, let's recap the top 10 of Ryan Wilson's final mock draft with the Jets and the Giants having multiple picks. The Giants going with Sauce Gardner and Charles Cross. He had Travon Walker going number 1 overall to the Jaguars. He is the favorite now to go number 1, minus 200 to be the first pick off the board. Another wide receiver, back-to-back receivers here after Garrett Wilson goes. It's Drake London to the Commanders, Ryan.
Yeah, Washington really would like to get a cornerback here as well. Stingley and Ahmad Gardner could be in play, but clearly they're gone here. And they like these wide receivers. They were the pro day for Drake London, for Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. Garrett Wilson just went to the Jets, so they go with Drake London, 6'4", 215-ish. He's a high-point machine. He's a contested catch machine. He probably plays at about 4.5. That's plenty fast, and I think he offers something that they don't currently have on the roster, the wide receiver position, and that he is so big. A huge target for Carson Wentz, who at times can struggle with accuracy, so you have that big catch radius as a plus, and you pair that up with Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel hopefully can have a good season after signing last year and not doing a whole lot. And second-year player Downey Brown can have a breakout season as well, and you got something offensively. So I think in a perfect world, Garrett Wilson might be the pick here, but Drake London doesn't feel like a bad consolation prize.
Great minds think alike, and this is a pick that Pete Prisco had in his mock draft yesterday. So credit to you, Ryan, for mind meshing with Pete Prisco. I like it for this standpoint. It gives Carson Wentz that red zone target. You talked about their roster as it currently stands. Outside of Logan Thomas, they don't have a ton of big-bodied receivers that can go up and high-point the football in that condensed portion of the field. So that's where I think he's going to come and play, outside of the fact that he's a changeup. Reminds me a lot of Mike Evans as far as his gait, the way he kind of runs his routes and his stride and all that. But talked about the 50-50 footballs. That's something that Carson Wentz has excelled at times, throwing it up, giving guys chances. Drake London is that player who's going to come down with it more often than not. So good fit. I like the pick.
Oh, this is an interesting pick. Jamison Williams out of Alabama, who might be sitting out the first month or two of the regular season with that injury.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't know how long and what the medical grade is or how teams are viewing that, but he's the best wide receiver in this draft class. You exclude the injury, and he's going probably higher than this. The Houston Texans could use some firepower. There's talks of potential trade for Brandon Cooks because he's one of the more productive receivers that seems to get traded all the time. So if indeed that would take place, you definitely have a big hole you need to replace. And Jamison Williams is just that. So I love this for Davis Mills. And again, we don't want to talk about taking the top off the defense. No one made more big plays last year than Jamison Williams for Alabama. So it's unfortunate about the ACL injury. I hope and pray we get to see him, as he was last year coming into the NFL, because it's exciting to think what he could be.
Yeah, Jamison Williams, he took a 30 visit to Houston, so there's clearly interest there. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to take him, but they brought him in to kick the tires on him, so to speak. Also, there's Nick Caserio, who has a connection with New England, and that connection with Nick Saban in Alabama. So there's that as well. Brady mentioned the weapon for Davis Mills. Davis Mills certainly feels like the quarterback. I don't think there's going to be a quarterback taken by the Texans at pick number 3 or pick number 13. But now the question becomes, is this the best use of those two picks, getting Derek Stingley and then getting Jamison Williams? And there's certainly some debate on that, especially since Kayvon Thibodeau is still sitting out there.
Brian, not a quarterback, but a wide receiver, Chris Olave out of Ohio State.
And I'll be honest, this was the toughest pick for me in this whole entire draft class. I'm a Steelers homer, so I take some pride in stumbling into the picks occasionally. The Najee Harris pick last year, everyone saw that coming. This year, it's not quite clear what they want to do. They've had more visits than any team, both 30 combine, local workouts, everything, than any team in the NFL. They've had all the quarterbacks in for 30 visits. So they're not really showing their hand in that sense, other than they're sort of interested in the quarterbacks. We don't know when. Could a quarterback go here? Yeah, and I know Prisco likes Desmond Ridder here. I don't quite like him this high for the accuracy concerns, but we'll see. Instead of having going Chris Olave, he fills a need at wide receiver. He's my wide receiver 5. Obviously, fantastic career at Ohio State. Not as physical as some of these other receivers in this class. He doesn't play as fast as Garrett Wilson, but he does a lot of things well. He's incredibly reliable, great route runner, good hands. And with Juju Smith-Schuster gone, James Washington, Ray McLeod, he also adds some depth to that wide receiver group that now includes Deontay Johnson and, of course, Chase Claypool.
Okay, we're 20 picks into Ryan Wilson's final mock draft. Let's recap the teens here, where we did see another quarterback go recently, Kenny Pickett to the Saints. They also went with Trevor Penning, the offensive tackle out of Northern Iowa. Texans adding Jamison Williams out of Alabama, and the Eagles also with a couple of picks, Devontae Wyatt and Kyle Hamilton. The Green Bay Packers have a couple of picks here at the back end of the first round, number 22, and they're going with wide receiver Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. If Pete was here, he would say, just got to watch the weight. Worried about putting on too much weight.
He needs to worry about his own weight, all right, before he worries about Treylon Burks. But finally, we get a wide receiver taken in the first round for the Green Bay Packers, first time in 2 decades. But they need a bigger body wide receiver, too. I think when you look at the group of wide receivers, what they lost in Devontae Adams, they need a guy like Treylon Burks who can go up, high point the football, make big plays down the field, but also can be that guy that you just find how you can get them football in a variety of ways. He demonstrated that during his time at Arkansas. Now, you know, the 40 time, it's a bit concerning in a league that we really love to see guys who can separate. I don't know that he's going to be that at the next level, but he can make the contested catch, and he can be that reliable playmaker and option for Aaron Rodgers moving forward.
Also have the 28th pick coming up, but we're at 23 now in the Midwest, and sticking in the Big Ten with the next pick, it's a wide receiver, Johan Dodson out of Penn State, Brady.
He doesn't have the Tyreek Hill speed, but he does have that utility of Tyreek Hill as far as get him the football in his hands and watch what he can go do with it. You know, Penn State, when they needed a big play this year, this is who they designed something up to. They tried to isolate him or just get the football in his hands, and he made something out of nothing. So as far as that piece of this offense missing, which I don't think it's been replaced with the Juju Smith-Schuster or the Marquez Valdez-Scantling signings, would be perfect for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, and those are some of the needs for Kansas City entering the draft, wide receiver at the very top. One of the few times where we actually use the word penultimate.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.